Welcome in the Bobby Carpenter Show here on this Manic Monday. Schlegs, we had our first, maybe our first last weekend without football for a minute. We'll see how it goes. We had the last games of the regular season with Army and Navy taking on each other. The 125th edition, Schlegs. Navy pulling the upset, taking down the Black Knights, which I didn't see coming. We had some bowl games going on out there. We've got some contract restructurings. We've got some extensions. We've got some portal talk. We've got questions from the fans from our tailgate talk brought to you by Real Truck. It is going to be a robust show. It's going to be a robust week. We're going to be joined by Lathan Ransom again today as well, and all of our usual cavalcade of guests. Schlegel says we sprint towards the weekend. And I emphasize sprint because Friday we will be having college football playoff games up in South Bend. With Marcus Freeman, who just got a 6-year contract extension, putting him near the top of college football paid head coaches. And then obviously 3 games on Saturday, culminating with the Buckeyes taking on Tennessee. A lot of things to get into, Schlegs. Before we get going anywhere else, though, man, like how was your weekend? What do we have going on? Are we feeling good about everything that happened?
Bro, we had a great weekend, Bob. I appreciate you asking. I can't wait for you to dive into your New York experience, looking super sharp in your suit and just getting everybody the down low on what you talked about. But my daughter had cheer regionals. It might have been even state. I don't even know. But what we did was, because I live in 2 states and we celebrate Christmas in multiple locations, we had to do Christmas early on Friday. And so in Florida as a family, then we go to Texas for Christmas. And so my daughter had a cheerleading event in Lakeland, Florida, on the way to Tampa. So again, my wife, she should be a travel planner. We got Hunter for his Christmas present, fight night tickets to UFC Tampa. Fight night. And so we went and watched my daughter do cheer. And man, those ticket prices, if only I had a venue just to do cheer ticketing, man, it'd be amazing. But got to watch her. She did fantastic. They end up getting first for their routine. And then they have a game day routine that she's also in. And so they're going to nationals, right? So she did great. And then, boom, poof, David Copperfield. My wife drives us, drops me and Hunter off. Got some Chick-fil-A on the way that carried us over because fight night was literally 6 hours long. I mean, the bang for the buck, though the tickets are expensive, you're watching 13 to 14 fights go down. Ooh. And we didn't miss one. Like, we got there right at 7, and he was like, man, it's going to be a long night, Dad. I'm like, why is that? He's like, man, they're all going to decisions. He's like, we need some knockouts just to expedite the process. And so we started getting those toward the latter part of the evening. But it was awesome, man. We had great seats. We were watching. He and I are talking. These 2 kids, they showed up hot, man. Like, oh, we didn't miss a fight. They're boozing. And then all of a sudden his buddy leaves, and this guy's wearing like a Chris Carter. I dapped him up because he had a Chris Carter jersey on. But then he just starts to vomit in his cup. And I'm like, see, Hunter, don't be that guy. You know, like your wingman left. But then his wingman came back and nursed him back to health, kind of puke and rally in the cup. And he was hydrating really well for the remainder of the evening. And it was quite enjoyable. But making memories, Bob, like that's what it's all about.
Well, that's a memory that he'll never forget, watching a grown man throw open a cup at a UFC. Like,
I'm like, hey, just don't be that guy, Hunter, right? Like, you like to enjoy things. Like, you got to pace yourself when you get of age. Like, you got to pace yourself so you can enjoy the evening and the environment. But he had a blast, man. He loves it. He loves that stuff. And I guess he's 18, so he's running parlays. He's like, I got this 4-fight parlay, Dad. And he hit. And I'm like, so what'd you make? He's like, oh, I made, $150 or whatever. So he was fired up about it. Yeah, I don't bet. He bets. And I'm like, but listen now. I'm like, your dad lives at the farm by myself. Like, I'm not out there drinking every night. Like, I don't want to be that. Like, you got school, you got baseball. You can't get in the weeds of all these things. Like, you only have a finite amount of time. We have these conversations a lot, which is great, man. That's the beauty of being a parent, man, to have those convos. But it was a great night. Great night. How about you? Tell me about New York. You took your daughter. You're speaking.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, first of all, I want to let you know, Schlegs, your place in Ohio is in Ross County. I used to go watch, now they're not quite UFC, just some more amateur cage fights at the Ross County Fairgrounds. It's got that big bowl right there on the front of it. And I mean, if Hunter really wants to, you need to go with him because, I mean, the fights that are going on in the cage are usually secondary to the fights that are happening in the stands.
Yeah.
So I think you could fit in really well there. It'd be tremendous. Went to a number of those. It was really fun to watch, and a lot of good times. I never threw up in a cup, though, Schlegs, to be able to keep it together. So went to New York with my daughter. The New York City Alumni Club had an event. And Schlegs, I'm going to try to get you out to the golf event for them this year. It's fun. It's a good time. It's a Sewanee Golf Club, I believe. It's right there on the coast, right off JFK. Super nice course. They try to do it big. Some of Tress's buddies, they know Mansfield. All these guys know everybody. It was great, pretty good turnout though. Really cool, this car club in Manhattan. And so I got a chance to go there, have dinner on Thursday night. I took my 13-year-old daughter, she's 8th grader, do some Christmas shopping in New York. She'd never been to the Big Apple. So I was like, hey, your daughter, your mom doesn't want to go. Why don't you come with me? It's like she could care less about going to, the Notre Dame football game or this game here or whatever. And she likes going to Ohio State, and they're juiced up. We got tickets to the game, and there was a little bit of a fight over, we have the 3 big kids are going, and we have a 4th seat, like who's going to get the friend. And so that was it's a little rough and going back and forth. My daughter loves that. But we did some shopping. I mean, I'm going to tell you this, Schlegs, there's a store we went to, I'll remember it before too long, that doesn't have sizes. It just, everything's the same size. And I asked my daughter, I'm like, she goes, does this look like it fits? I'm like, well, what size is it? She goes, it's all the same. Like that. It's great for logistics and operations. Like, one size fits all, making one thing. She goes, they want their clothes to fit a certain way on a certain person. I'm like, okay, well, Buckeyes, let's walk around. But these clothes stores, Schlegs, that I went to like 5 or 6 of them. They were exclusively women's clothes, except for the Lululemon and PacSun. And Lululemon is mostly like all the dude stuff was in the basement, which I wasn't shopping for me. So I'm sitting there watching these girls, ages probably 12 to 20, walk around and shop. And me and like the 7 other dudes in a store of 200 people are just looking at each other thinking, oh man, this is bumpy. But it was good. Spent some good time together. The event was fun. Talked to a lot about, Ohio State, what it means to be a Buckeye, the passion, how great it is, how much the players care, how much Ryan cares, like all of these different things, and how we're positioned well. And I don't think, despite some of the losses and despite some of the things that have happened, everything is where it needs to be. And there needs to be, obviously, you need to win the last game of the season. That goes without saying. But outside of that, like the process is good. You don't throw out everything when you know the process is going to get you the result. It's just you got to get tweaks. You got to tinker with it and figure that thing out. So we had a good time. Then got to go out that night in New York. Flew back. Came in hot. Went straight to Kellen's basketball game down in Lancaster. He went 1-1 on the weekend. So an overtime loss to a really good team on Sunday. But it was a fun time. And now I'm thinking, boom, we were right here coming through all this. I got a little bit of a cold. It's been a long, busy day. I'm going to try to get super healthy this week because of Buckeye Nation and the game, the first ever playoff game. And, my wife's going to go to our neighbor's house, and that's going to be fun. And like, there's going to be good times like for folks to have and watching these games and like wrap around holiday parties. And I think it's an awesome time. Like at first I was there was some trepidation, like, do you want to do it the weekend before Christmas? Now I'm like, this is like part of the Christmas present. It's right there for you. It's exciting. And I thought like, I could enjoy my creature comforts, but I could not miss an opportunity to be in the stadium for something like this and to see the guys have one more opportunity to close out their careers with a victory in the shoe, what that would mean. And I'm kind of curious, Schlegs, with this. How many Tennessee fans are going to be there? And I want to say, I want to say I'm worried. I heard there was some sort of verification code that was leaked out. I've seen reports where people think there's going to be 35,000 Tennessee fans, which, it's close to a third of the stadium, about a third of the stadium. And I don't foresee that happening. I wouldn't say it's worry at any point or concern, but there's an anticipation to kind of see what that's going to look like and how many Buckeye fans sold their tickets and sold them maybe unknowingly or just for the buck. And I'll never tell anybody what to do with their finances. I mean, you don't want to go, I get it, but could you sell them to a Buckeye fan, like, and try to make certain that the shoe is going to be loud and juiced
up? You got a questionnaire on there to fill out. Where are your loyalties?
You can see if you've got an area code. What's Nashville? 615. I mean, I forget what Knoxville is.
Or a zip code. Yeah.
where the stuff is coming from and where it's going. So there's a little, I wouldn't say, like I said, not concern, but I want it to be a great environment. And I know you do too. I know the players do. And Knoxville, Nashville, Tennessee, it's not far. It's a pretty quick drive. And so there's a worry that there could be the possibility of that potentially happening. Where are you on that front with your scale of worry, since you're not attending the game and you may or may not have had your tickets go to a Tennessee fan?
No, they did not go to a Tennessee fan. They went to Buckeye fans. And the reason is because I'm traveling back home for Christmas. I'm also going to catch Highland Park in the state championship game down there in Dallas. But, I'm not overly concerned about it, Bob, because I remember when we played Texas, there were still quite a few of Texas fans in there. It wasn't, they might have been more on the outside, but regardless of what it is in the stadium, like if they're loud, like be louder, right? And we saw that they went to Oregon, and that stadium holds, 60,000 people, and it was super loud, right? So regardless of who you got in the stadium, cheer your face off, man. Cheer for these guys, excited for these guys. To me, it's always about the guys. This coming as a coach perspective, it's always about them. They're the ones that can create the environment that they need by making plays and executing. And that's the one thing we heard Ryan talk about all week. We want to get into it with Lathan. But to me, that's what I care about. I care about the dudes being ready to go and play a great football game in Ohio Stadium.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we got Lathan coming up. We won't make you wait any more for that, Schlegs, because I want to tell you about Export before we get to him. I've been talking to you about it. Parents, athletes, protect what matters most with Export mouth guards, trusted by professional athletes, designed by NHL team dentists. Export mouth guards are scientifically tested to absorb those high-impact hits, protect both your teeth and your brain. Export mouth guards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, patented use of carbon fiber. They 3D print that thing right to your grill for more protection, better performance, max comfort, and clear communication so you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Go to exportguards.com/Bobby. That way you can save 15%. Makes a great stocking stuffer. So go check them out. Export, protect what matters most. Lathan Ransom, Ohio State Buckeye safety, coming up next.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be.
The Big Play Sports Network. Download the free app today to watch all of your favorite hosts on demand.
I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like... I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer. All right, as always, on these Mondays when he gets a chance, he's very busy. They got a big game this weekend. We are joined by second-team All-American, Mr. Lathan Ransom. Super excited to have him with us. Been a minute since we've caught up. Lathan, what have the last couple of weeks been like for you, and kind of where are we at in the preparation ultimately for the game?
Yeah, I think obviously 3 weeks ago was not a great week, but what we did was did our best, to learn from the mistakes in that game, to get better. Because I think, like, if you look after the Oregon game, the defense didn't play great. So we made changes and we fixed, and then we executed at a high level. And now we're the best defense in the country. And then after the Team of North game, maybe the offense didn't play as well as they wanted to play. Now they're going to make corrections and go out there and they're going to play like the best offense in the country in this next game coming up. So, taking those losses to just learn from as best as we can. Obviously, they hurt, and we didn't want to have them, but just learn from them. And now we're preparing for this Tennessee team, a great team that's going to come here and do a lot of different things that we haven't seen before. And we're excited for the challenge.
Hey, so, one, have you got Viv's Christmas present taken care of? That's the first part of a 2-part question. So Viv's Christmas present. And 2, tell us a little bit about what Coach Day has been talking to the team over the last 2 weeks leading up into this game.
Yeah, so first of all, yes, I did. I got her Christmas present this weekend, actually. My parents came down for senior tackle, and I actually took them shopping, got my parents some things, and then, got her. She's actually on a cruise right now with her mom and her little brother for Christmas, a little Christmas cruise. So that was perfect timing. She's on the house to do that, and she'll obviously be back for the game. So that was exciting. I mean, you should have seen Easton Mall this weekend. There was all types of people there. I'm over here fighting for gifts, so that was fun. But yeah, I think Coach Day, biggest thing he's saying is that we have a huge opportunity here. First playoff game in the shoe. It's gonna be exciting. It's the first one to come, so I mean, I expect the environment to be unlike any other game we played in. And then the biggest thing is, we can't beat ourselves. We got to go out there. We got to execute at a high level, communicate at a high level. Don't let the game get too big. It's just another game in the shoe. That's how you should go in there thinking about it. And then execute the game plans, man. Coaches are coming up with some amazing game plans, offense and defensively. And as long as we go out there and execute at a high level, fly around with a bunch of juice, getting the crowd into it, I think it's going to be a great game.
So I'm concerned, Lathan. I mean, I know you probably spent a ton of money on Viv, but I mean, we got enough money to keep the heat on. Like, I know we got cold, but we got the food on inside.
Yo, busy day. You're coming straight from the Woody. I'm just coming from the Woody and hopped on and actually just dropped my dad off at the airport. So, no, I actually like my house freezing. I keep my house at 66 degrees. Everyone that comes over, they always complain how cold I have it, but my house has to be cold.
Well, that's great. So we're in preparation. It was cold for the team up north. The Michigan game, obviously, a little chilly. Tennessee coming up here. You're a guy, Lathan, that obviously came from the Southwest. Like, how long did it take you to get acclimated to the type of weather that you're playing in right now? And we usually don't have games this late, but it's going to probably be in the mid-20s at kickoff.
Yeah, so I would say I haven't had a game as cold as, the Team of North game coming up since I've been here. So, but I think the coaches are doing a great job, getting us acclimated by. We've been practicing, outside all week, and we're going to continue to practice outside all week, to get used to it. And then it's funny. I had a coach tell me, I don't know if this is true or not, but he told me that if you stand outside in just compressions for 10 minutes straight, for 8 days straight, your body will get acclimated to the cold. So I'm believing him. So, I've been doing that as well to help me, prepare for the cold, whatever it takes.
I love it, man. Hey, you mentioned senior tackle earlier, and we're going to get back into Tennessee, but just tell us about that experience, because you've been here for 5 years. You've seen a lot of guys. Tell us about your individual experience with your parents being there. And then also, what did you say to the guys that are coming up, or maybe what was one of the best nuggets that somebody said that those guys heard during that senior tackle?
Yeah, so I think it was a great moment. First of all, I seen a bunch of dudes cry and stuff, and I spent my crying on senior day. I think Bobby might have seen me and stuff. I think that was a great moment, just crying, just, taking it all in. But I've seen older dudes come through with Tough Borland, Coop, all dudes that left, Pete Warner, left great nuggets for me. And I think my biggest thing that I told the younger guys was being a dude, that's been hurt, has ups and downs. And there's been a point in my life to where, after maybe it not going the way I wanted to and face another injury, that I really sat there and kind of asked God, man, like, I don't understand why this has happened to me, or why would it go this way when, you have a plan. And now I understand and I appreciate, God for putting me through that adversity and all that, because it gave me perspective. And I'm a dude now that, when I go, no matter what meeting we're in, what game, what practice, how cold it is, I try to go out there with a smile and enjoy the moment, enjoy everything about it, everything about football, everything about being around my teammates, being around my coaches, because I know what it's like to be taken away from you. So I kind of just told them, to enjoy it and just to have perspective that there's a lot of people that want to be in your shoes right now. And even though it be days where it's really early, you don't want to get up and do that workout in the winter, or maybe it's getting long in the season, you're tired of doing scout team, or you're tired of whatever, your position is. Just enjoy it, man, and don't take it for granted. And yeah, so that's really my nugget to them.
What was it like, Lathan, when you guys had like a little watch party on Sunday, selection show, CFP, and to find out, like, obviously, I think everybody assumed you were going to get in, but to get that home game and to have one more chance to be able to play, obviously, at the shoe?
It was super exciting. It was a cool moment, for the team. To see us get at home, another crack at it for the seniors to play at home. And just excited, man. Just excited for an opportunity to do something that hasn't been done before, win the 12-game playoffs. So I think that's what everyone's feeling right now.
Yeah, 10 years apart from when we won the first college football playoff back in 2014. Now it's 2024. One, I want to say I'm super proud of you, Lathan, because the adversity, the trials and tribulations, the way you carry yourself, I've seen you in the weight room. There is no difference. Like, you're the same guy every single day. I appreciate that about you. The fact that you've played at a high level this season, the Buckeye defense needed you. You're a second-team All-American, man. There's not a lot of people that can say that, and you can say that, and I appreciate the nuggets that you're dropping. Looking at this Tennessee game, they got a really physical running back. They got a really young but talented quarterback. Defensively, what are some of the things that you guys are thinking about that you've learned from that Michigan game? Maybe the question is more of, from that Michigan game, even defensively, how critical it is to make the plays in those moments, because really I can only think of three plays defensively that if you correct them could have potentially been a perfect game. What has been that mindset coming and being the number one defense in the country, and what do you have to adjust, and how do you got to go into this game and prepare for Tennessee?
Yes, that's something we actually talked about, especially in BIA, in the BIA room, is that, even though we are the number one defense in the country, the two categories we're not number one in is third down and turnovers. And those are what change the game. Those might be the most two important categories. So I think that we just really focusing on, we got to win on third down. We got to get off the field. And then we got to find ways to, produce more turnovers. So those are two big keys that, we're going into this game. And then, yeah, like you said, they have a really talented quarterback, really talented running back. And you see some of the tape, you see some of the game statistics, and you're like, wow, the quarterback's great. A bunch of shots, must be supposed to place. But then you realize how much they're also rushing for. Like, they're a great balanced team. So just finding ways, to not allow any explosives, and then, keep their running back contained, and everyone's be gap sound, and, when you get them open field tackles, make them tackle. So, they cause we're excited to play this game against them.
What when you found out you were second team All-American, Lathan, what'd that mean?
It meant a lot to me. It's funny is that it made me hungrier to go harder, because I wanted to be a first team All-American. My biggest goal this year was, being a dude from Tucson. All I wanted was, a tree on Buckeye Grove. So just to be so close, but almost not there, that it honestly fueled a little fire in me, to go even harder. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the All Big Ten as well. But I think it just made me hungrier to, achieve more.
Lathan, so many times people will talk about being from Ohio, and you're from Arizona, I'm from Texas. Just articulate to the people that when you come here, just that, indoctrination into what it means to be a Buckeye, because you're talking about having a tree planted in Buckeye Grove, being a dude from Tucson, Arizona. That really wasn't like growing up, like that was the goal, but it became the goal when you became a Buckeye. Talk a little bit about that culture and what that is to really be a Buckeye for you.
Yeah, it means everything to me. Like you said, when I first got here, honestly, I didn't know what it was to be a Buckeye. I didn't know what it was to be a part of the brotherhood. And now I don't know what it's like to not be a part of the brotherhood and not be a Buckeye. And like you said, it's almost different for me is how I look at it as, you got Bobby around, you got a bunch of great players that come back around and they bring their families here. And then Bobby gets to show his kids, look at what we achieved, look at what I achieved when I was here. Look at all the accomplishments I made. So one day, down the line, when I have kids and I'm older now, I want to be able to bring my family back here and show them, look at what I achieved. Look at the stuff that I've done. And you can do it too. If I did it from a small town in Tucson, whether it's I have a daughter and she's a swimmer or what, no matter what it means, it basically showing that if you have goals, you can achieve them no matter, what your circumstances are growing up.
All right, the last piece, you guys have wanted this big night game. You get the night game. It's going to be a little bit chillier before we get you out of here. What is this? What are we expecting for that night environment? I know you like to play the new ones, kind of get them out of the way. But for the big ones, Lathan, this is everything you want for prime time, ESPN. Every outlet is going to be here. I can't imagine being a bigger environment, like handling the emotion, being able to rise to that moment. The preparation of it, what does that mean? And is that something that everybody's talked about, and kind of where are you at on that?
I mean, yeah, it doesn't get better than this. Like you said, the biggest game, I think it's going to be the biggest game, in the first round. And, I mean, this is what you come here to Ohio State for. The big game on TV, as cold as it can be, snowing, don't matter, in the bright lights, man. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this opportunity. Like you said, it's going to be cold, so I'm going to get my mind right and body right all week to what it's like to play in, negative degrees, no matter how cold it is. And like you said, I think it's cool that, it also gets you prepared for the next level, because no matter what team, there's a bunch of dudes that want to go to the next level on our team. You can get drafted to Green Bay and be in a playoff game even later in the year, so in 2 inches of snow. So, I mean, at the end of the day, the elements can't be an excuse, and we're excited for a Showtime game.
Absolutely. Well, Lathan, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much for spending it with us today. We really appreciate it. Enjoy this time off. Work your butt off here this week, and we're excited to see you on Saturday.
You guys have a good day.
See you, bro.
Second team All-American Lathan Ransom spent all season with us, and hopefully Schlegels, they get a win. I mean, he'll be back on, and we'll have him on regardless. Lathan wants to get into the media moving forward, and has done a great job being a representation of everything you want. And, Schlegels, I heard something last week, and a coach said it. It was with regard to grades and performance and everything else. And I want to drop this little nugget and kind of see where your head's at, because as I see Lathan Ransom and I see everything that he embodies, he kind of is exactly what this quote and what this comment represents. We'll get into that here coming up next on the Bobby Carpenter Show. Welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show. Great job by our guy, Lathan Ransom, right there. And listen, if you're watching on FanDuel TV, thank you. If you're watching on YouTube or X, please subscribe, leave comments, questions. We got into a bunch of them last week. I'm sure at the end of this week, we'll hammer out some more. We got some with Tailgate Talk today from a tweet that I put out earlier. So this was said by a coach, and I tried to tell my kids this, and I've asked some of the players about it. I go, because their GPA, I guess, I can't even think of what team it was. Coach, doesn't matter. And they proved pretty dramatically in wins. It may have been Kenny Dilling. It may have been Dillingham out at Arizona State, but I'm not positive, so I don't want to attribute to anybody unknowingly. But their team GPA went from a 2.44 or something like that to a 3.12. And with it, they jumped from 5 or 6 wins to 9 or 10 wins, something like that. And he brought that up, and people go, what does the classroom have to do with the field? And his comment was, you show me, I've never seen a person who practices the right way and doesn't do it the right way in the other parts of their life. And as a young person, I can always turn it up for sports, and I can do this, and I can really care about what I like. But the reality is, there's going to be days where what you love, you may not like it all that much, and it's going to be really hard. And so that consistency piece and that element to try to strive to be great, we listened to Lathan Ransom talk about that. And there's some of these guys, it made all the sense in the world. And that's why I always try to have faith in the guys at Ohio State, because I know the type of people they are off the field and in the classroom and in the community. And when you have people that have a super high GSF, the things that they do mean a lot. And so they're going to make you, they will always be ultra prepared. You just heard Lathan Ransom talking about standing outside in tights when it's for 10 minutes. I mean, I don't know where the science is on that. And the coach that may have told him that might just be trying to making sure he feels good about it in his head. But that's kind of it. The people are willing to do whatever it takes to get the leg up and to be successful.
Yeah, I'll say this. I mean, you look at Ohio State's football program this year, they had 56 dudes that were named academic all Big Ten.
Yeah.
I mean, that's almost half your roster.
A lot of dudes.
A lot of dudes. And, great book by Jocko, Discipline Equals Freedom, but you can't pick and choose where you have your discipline. If you want to see results, it has to cross all areas of your life to be able to do it, right? Because we have responsibilities. And again, this is just a dude, 43-year-old guy talking, right? The habits that you build up when you're younger, carry on with your older, doesn't mean you can't change them, but it definitely makes it easier. So the way that he's prepared himself, like Cody Simon's a guy that's like that, Bob. When you handle your business in the classroom, it frees up the opportunity to handle your business in the football classroom. Right, to be a student of the game, because you know how to take notes, you know how to prepare. I talk to people all the time, like how much notes are you taking, right? Like we're sitting down talking. I mean, myself, I go back to Mickey Marotti. I'm 43 years old. I haven't coached with Mick in a hot minute. It's his language in there. I'm writing every single note down because I have a high GSF. I want to do a great job, not only for him, but more importantly for the players. And I'm doing the workouts, but that's also how I handle my business. It's also how I build in time to be the husband and father that I need to be. We have all these different things that we do, but to be elite at all of them, you have to be disciplined. And to me, that stat and what you're saying, Bob, is when they have a high academic literacy, I guarantee you those guys in the weight room have a high physical literacy. And that also correlates to being able to have a high football acumen or football literacy, which does what? It allows you to play the game faster. When you know the game of football and you study and you prepare the game of football, when you don't, that's when you hesitate. When you don't, that's where you're confused and you play lesser than your genetic potential. But when you do, that's what allows somebody that doesn't necessarily have that genetic potential to play faster. And that's what you're seeing from guys like that. And that's why the wins are evident of that. And that's why he made that statement.
I love it, Schlegel. It's a great point. And like you said, you see a lot of that with those guys. And I think that ultimately matters. And hopefully it'll matter on Saturday night. All right. We'll take a quick break right here. We got our headlines. I've got a clip of a little bit of the Tennessee talk about what it could potentially be. I think we might save that for tailgate talk coming up here. But we've got some interesting stuff going on. What's Quinn Ewers going to do? What's the portal look like? We've got guys sliding in there, sliding out. Are they going to be contributing to their teams? All that. It's going to be fascinating with how they handle the playoffs. So stay locked in here on the Bobby Carpenter Show as we discuss it all.
The Big Play Sports Network. Download the free app today to watch all of your favorite hosts on demand.
I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage beer. Beer flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like... I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer. All right, welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show, and we got some headlines coming for you, some big news out of the transfer portal that we'll get to in a minute. But first, I want to get to Barrett Sallee, a guy who I know I'd work on XM with, covers the SEC, worked for CBS for a long time. He has a Smothered and Covered podcast, also on Sirius XM.
Waffle House, baby.
Well, you got a lot of, that's, you know what it is, like he's all about that. But he thinks Tennessee is all about that life. And so we can toss this up, Pat, and take a look at what he thinks is ultimately going to happen with Tennessee in the stadium at Ohio State.
The shoe is going to be filled with orange and white. I'm talking 35,000 Tennessee fans. I firmly believe that the Tennessee-Ohio State game will look a lot like the Georgia-Notre Dame game in 2017. That last game, the night game on Saturday, Tennessee and Ohio State.
Yeah.
I know Ohio State fans don't like to hear this. The shoe is going to be filled with orange and white.
All right.
I'm talking 35,000 Tennessee fans.
No, I'm not talking about that. Hey, guess what? If it happens, it happens, man. Guess what? Go out there and knock somebody's face off.
I'm curious if it will, or if it already has. Like, and people are selling their tickets now, and what that ultimately looks like. So, you've been around Ohio State. I've been around, a while. So have you. I mean, what is your gut feeling on that? What percentage of the stadium will be Tennessee fans?
Well, here's the hardest thing with that is, like, what percentage of the stadium are season ticket holders that don't necessarily want them, or potentially people that sit on those tickets and are professional resellers of tickets? Like, that's kind of like
there's not that many that are like professional resellers that sit on those tickets. I mean,
well, good.
There are people that can sell them, guys that can, but I don't know many people that have season tickets that they use simply for saleable purposes. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not that good of an investment.
No.
I've been doing it for years. So I would be losing money if I was doing that.
My biggest thing was, this is something that we as fans talk about, but them as players, they don't, because regardless of who's in the arena, like, your job is to go out there, and that's what we heard Lathan talk about. Execute and control what you can control. They can't control who's going to be in the stadium cheering them on or rooting against them. I will say one thing is, like, looking at SoFi Stadium, when the Chargers play there, it looks a lot different, feels a lot different than when the Rams play there. And so, like, that's the one thing that you don't want. But again, how do you shut people up? Boom. You go knock somebody in the face and knock their junk in the dirt. Like, that's how you do it. So that's my expectation of Ohio State football. I think it's going to be a great game, right? But again, even if it is 35,000 to 75,000, Bob, 115,000 people are standing, biggest game ever in Ohio Stadium. Guess what? 75,000, rise up, be louder, make your voices like 110,000 people.
Absolutely, Schlegs. Let's get that done. We'll see. We'll ultimately see how that looks. We'll monitor it throughout the week, kind of get a feel, a little flavor for it. I kept my 4 seats, so my kids will be going. They'll be cheering. They'll be screaming. It'll be fun and exciting. All right, there's some other news. We know, Schlegs, that Devin Brown, Ohio State's backup quarterback, got in the portal, and it's portal season. You see guys sliding in and out of there. Backup quarterback for SMU, Preston Stone, got in the portal. However, he's going to finish his commitment with SMU through the playoffs, however long that lasts. Devin Brown going to do the same thing ultimately at Ohio State. Bo Pabula, the backup quarterback for Penn State, and this has happened. I mean, maybe they've had conversations about this. I don't know what it looked like. And he's a guy, Schlegs, that they've had 2 quarterback packages for.
Yeah.
Like, he came in the game against Ohio State. They've moved him around. He's been a part of it. And now you're telling me on the Monday before a Saturday game, now they probably knew it going into the weekend, I would imagine, but he's going to be getting in the portal and he is not going to be finishing with the team. So where does that leave your backup? And where does that leave their offensive coordinator, Kolenicky, with his 2 quarterback package? Where did that go, Poof, David Copperfield?
Yeah, this goes back to why there needs to be 1 portal. It needs to be in the spring so it can marry up with college, right? Because they still are getting the degrees, and it allows you to finish what you started. Because there are no contracts, like, this is where we're at. So you have people that want to stay. You have people, and he probably did want to stay, but now if you go somewhere and let's say they use you and you get hurt, are you of value to that team that wants you? Those are decisions. And how are they being compensated, right? So if you have an NIL deal, does it, like, and I'm sure that you got a certain amount up front. Maybe it's also on the back end of the completion of it, or maybe it's a buy game. I don't know how they're set up, but that all plays into all of these decisions. And that's where we found ourselves, because nobody went from the NCAA to the whiteboard, got on there, pounded some monsters, and came up with something that's sustainable. They just wanted to let it happen. And now we're seeing the ramifications of that. We saw the commitment from the coach at Arizona State talking about be on this journey with us. But again, it also has to be in the best interest of the guy. And if he's like, man, I need to get in there right now, and you're also running me in this package, Like I guarantee you that school's saying the exact same thing to him. Well, if you play and you get hurt, we're not going to want you because now we got to deal with an ACL injury or whatever the case may be. Coming into fall camp, you're going to do us no good because you can't play next year. Those things are happening right now in college football, and it's a mistake.
It's pretty wild to think. I mean, especially for a guy who's a backup, Schlegel. Like anybody can get hurt at any given point in time, but
No doubt.
right now that would prohibit you from even playing in spring ball, let alone next year, is incredibly rare. And that's why I'm a believer. I know they've talked about this, but finding a way just to do the portal in the spring. And that way, hey, you come through, you finish the season, you complete spring ball, boom, then you want to figure it out, go somewhere for the summer and get that done. But this portal right here, I was initially in favor of it, but the amount of guys that are hopping in and then guys even from playoff teams, we talked about it, Schlegel, a long time. Would there ever be a guy that would opt out of a playoff game for the NFL? Well, now these guys aren't opting out for the NFL. They're opting out to go somewhere else for college, which I never thought that I would see. I mean, you got an opportunity at Penn State. People talked about how easy their path is to get to the semifinal. And Bo Perbula is like, deuces. And I get it for his perspective. That's why you've got to tighten up the language around some of this and take it out of the kid's hands, because this is the most advantageous situation for him. And it's like, you got to go take visits and people want to go meet with you. And then also, like you mentioned, the risk of injury, which is also very real.
Yeah, and the other thing too is it just isn't a fact. Like the backup quarterback, obviously critical, but guys, we're into playoff football time now. Special teams are critical. Like, who's your gunner, right? Jake Ballard, he went into not Jake Ballard. What's Ballard's first name? Jaden Ballard, right? Hey, gunner, man, he's made some great plays down the field on punt, right? Those type of things, filling that guy. So you have a guy that's gone through 12 games of live bullets, special team wise. Now I got to fill that gap into the first round, second round of a playoff game. Then you're looking at a backup quarterback. What if that could have been, a linebacker that has, that divvies up in packages, right? Or the next guy in, how are you feeling that? So guys have to be ready. Now what it's going to change is it's going to change the landscape of the coach of who's going to be here. Who do I get in? If this guy's already kind of on the bubble and he might be slightly ahead of somebody that is, the third string guy, maybe I play the younger guy knowing that he's going to be there, right? That goes back into the 2-year contracts for guys that are coming in that we discussed earlier on the shows ago. But it's like, man, maybe they come in, they got a 2-year contract. Now I'm going to lean to playing that younger guy because I know he's not leaving versus a guy that could potentially leave when we need him the most in the playoffs because he's gotten all of those reps. Like, your reps are the ones that you want to give the guys that are going to be there so you go on this run. And if somebody does go down, like, they got to be the guy that steps up. So now it's going to be, who do I give those to? I'm just saying, man, like, it needs to change. And it needs to change to where there's a year contract. That way I have one negotiating period. How did you do it in the spring? What is my value? I stay from spring to following spring. Now that's roster management. That way teams like Ohio State can go in the portal, not waste their time, energy, and effort looking at who's the offensive tackle that I got to bring in. How is this going to, change the dynamic of my recruiting class, et cetera, other people flipping? I got one time that I can do that, and that's in the spring.
Absolutely. All right, coming up next, we got Tailgate Talk brought to you by our friends at Real Truck, answering some of your questions and comments coming up next here on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, time for Tailgate Talk, brought to you by our friends at Real Truck. Listen, don't waste time trying to outfit your truck somewhere else. Go to realtruck.com like Schlegel and I did. If you got a Jeep or Bronco, you'll go there too. From the inside, the outside, it's interior, it's exterior. They've got all the goodies that you need. And here's the best part. You go to realtruck.com. You take advantage of some of their unbelievable deals heading into Christmas. It's not too late still. Go get on there, get something for yourself, something for friends and family. Use promo code Bobby at checkout. Boom, you get the free Real Truck hat that Schlegel is wearing. So listen, don't mess around anywhere else. Go to Real Truck like Schlegel and I did. Bring your truck, Jeep, Bronco, whatever it is, to life at realtruck.com. All right, Schlegel's got a couple of questions for you here. Pat, we're going to pull these from the tweet today. Chris Todd, do you think the Buckeyes will come out ready to defend home turf and play with emotion? I'm not talking about excitement and purpose, or I'm talking about excitement and purpose, not walking on ice cubes.
Yeah, I think they're going to be ready. I think they've had, obviously multiple weeks to prepare for this game. They want to, I mean, this is their last time to play at home. They got a gift. And the gift is, let's go out with a win at Ohio Stadium against a great opponent in Tennessee. And we're in the college football playoff, man. First time it's ever happened. First game in December ever in the shoe. I think that they're going to go out there with a purpose. And we've seen their adjustments from the Oregon game to, and after that, what they did defensively. Now they're going to have to look at some adjustments. We know that there's going to be some potential shakeups on the offensive line. I think it's right now, it's like, we got to make a run. Let's be hot. I think the guys understand that. I think they're prepared. It also gave them some time to get healthy across the board. I'm excited for them.
All right. This one's coming from RQC Bus. It's a three-parter. A little bit of question, a little bit of comment. All right. Here we go. A little bit of both, Bob. So far, I'm about to turn 40 early next year. I see a fan base divided. It's clearly gotten too big, and it's time we divorce some of these clowns. All I see in my timeline is crybaby after Weiner talking about this or that and complaining about Oregon, etc. Second part of the tweet. Like Jules said, going with a Pulp Fiction reference here is what I believe. But that crap ain't the truth. The truth is you're weak and I'm the tyranny of evil men. When did we get so soft and whiny? The voices on here are deafening with every other post I see. These aren't Buckeyes. They're pathetic, spoiled brats. Act like middle school girls worried about who so-and-so is wearing or what they're saying or doing. Fact is, these other schools strive to be like us. We are the watchers on the wall. We are inevitable. It's time to get the tough back in the base. And it's time to prove it.
Yeah. You know what? Hey, first off, I love all the references. I think that you got to also disconnect Twitter banter from reality, right? And the reality is this, and there's also like the ownership aspect of just being overly transparent about things, because a lot of those things that we all talk about in a loss or even in a win, they all need to be talked about, guys. Like the eye in the sky never lies. You can go out there, Bob. We've been out there, right? We thought we had a great game, and that game ended up grading out like an 85. We thought it was a 90. Right. And even in the games that we didn't necessarily perform well, we actually performed better than we did, but it's still a loss. In football in general, it's weekly, it's daily to understand how you got to get better. Guys aren't going to make any excuses. Coaches aren't going to throw guys under the bus. Head coaches aren't going to throw their coordinators or their position coaches under the bus, right? They're going to talk about it. And those conversations happen behind closed doors where they should. All you want to see, and to your point, is I want to see a Buckeye team that goes out there and plays fast, hard, and violent. We've seen them play really hard in some games. We want to see the violence. We want to see fast. But the number one thing when you do fast, hard, and violent at this level in the playoffs is execution. Lathan laid it out, what they got to do defensively. We'll talk more about what they have to do offensively, but they got to win on third down. And you can't give up explosive plays because you're playing Tennessee. Like, that's the facts. So can you do that? Can you execute the game plan and call a great game that's coaches and players together for a win?
I love it, Schlegel. I wish I could add something to it, but that's basically laying it home, and it's got everything that we need. All right. Coming up next, we'll have our guy Anthony Schlegel wrap up the show with his parting thoughts.
The Big Play Sports Network. Download the free app today to watch all of your favorite hosts on demand.
I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage beer. Beer flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like. I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer. All right. Well, we'll wrap up the show here. Schlegel's my parting thoughts. I don't feel great today. I've had a lot of media. This is my 7th hour of programming that I put together today. God bless you. Try to survive.
Amazing.
And it stinks. I've got more to get done today. I'm not going to have time for a nap. The best part is my son's got basketball practice from 7:30 to 9 that I coach. So you know what? Poof, David Copperfield. Let's try to figure this out. And I'm excited for this game. I want to get healthy so I can be loud, proud, and a little bit drunk with everything going on. Boom. We'll see you tomorrow, noon or 12:30. Let's get locked in and be ready to go.